Alright, so today is my clan's free items giveaway. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next um, 3 hours. 3 hours I'm going to be doing that. But in that meantime, I'm going to be showcasing the Warframe abilities, their parts, um, the capabilities and missions, other Warframes, other the mid to high level Warframes. So that's what's going to be done right now. But first things first, I need to make sure these people got their stuff. Okay, no problem. All right. So I basically already gave them certain things already. At least two people, two maybe three people. Then I did some trading, but this is the giveaway stuff. This is what we're giving away. This is a standard thing that we do within our clan, um, at least once a month, and it's for them to, it's like incentives for them to have something to look forward to at the end of the month. And of course, um, the stuff that's given is always good. It's not like it's bad or anything. It's just all necessary things that they'll need in their Warframe future down the road. Either something they need so that they could trade it for plats, or something that they need to use in missions, or something to help them along the way, such as 3-day resource booster, 3-day resource and chance booster is necessary for them to have so they could continue to get more resources so they could build stuff that would take them probably twice as long or 3 times as long to do if they didn't have the boosters. And the prime point blank, as well as all positives or all plus Nikana ribbons, very good stuff. Because they don't have bad stats on them. So these are all giveaways, but they're all good stuff. I believe the Kar's weapon might be the only thing that's like subpar. But all these are Warframes and weapons that are very good. Or is it the Neil that's subpar and the Kar's is good? Is one or maybe they're both. Either way, probably have like two bad things out of the whole thing for the free item giveaway. So, and it ends at 12 o'clock. So it's like 10 o'clock. It started like 30 minutes ago. Um, Traded off to like two or three people already. Not more people ask for stuff simply because the giveaway is not for everyone. It's for if you haven't been in the clan for anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. If you've been in the clan for like a week or even less than 2 weeks, you can't participate. So if it's not more than 2 weeks to a month, then obviously you can't be part of it. So and plus, depending on the people who are online, if there are less people online, then there's less people going to ask for the stuff. So that's the amount of people that are online right now. So I'm not worried about it. Whatever they don't take, I get to keep and use in our next clan challenges anyway. So that's the good thing about that. Whatever they don't accept, I'll use in the next run around challenges for the following week, and so on and so forth. But for now, for showcasing the Warframe, I believe I didn't do the Mag Warframe, but I did start from the bottom going up. So I'll get to the Mag Warframe. So originally I started from I believe the Wukong, and then I stopped. Um, Actually, let me look specifically at the video so I don't have to overthink things too much. I don't know. I'll look at the video real quick. So I don't have to do another Warframe all over again that I already did. And it'll be simpler to go up and down from list from A going down to Z. But this is not that. This is based on performance, not based on the names of Warframe. Simply is based on performance alone. So mid to high level Warframes. So I'll be switching back and forth on the list. I won't be naming all Warframes are off on the list. So let's see here. Check pass. And the good thing about this is when I do these videos, I upload them onto YouTube, because if you go live on Twitch, you can't see your own stuff anyway, because it's showing you as being live. So even if you try to go and see, you won't be able to see it. So by uploading the videos on YouTube, I'm able to actually see what I last did. And the last one, I believe, the last showcase that I did was showcasing mini frames and abilities, part 3. Let's see what Warframe that was. That was Mirage. So last one I did was Mirage. I don't know, for some strange reason I thought I did more than Mirage. But now I remember I did the first one I did was with, yeah, the first one I did was with Necros, and then the next set was with Mirage. And then I did Warframe chill video. So yeah, okay, so moving forward I'll be able to do the Warframes that I wanted to do. That's all I need to do. Okay, so now I can go into the mid to high levels like I was going to do before. And let's see. For some bizarre reason, I know I did Wukong. That's because I probably did do Wukong. Probably did do Wukong. Then I went straight into Trinity, and then yeah. So okay, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so the next up on this list will be Wisp, and then from Wisp I'll move up to Zephyr Prime. Well, actually no. From Wisp I'll move to because I want to keep the real big ones at the end. So from Wisp I'll move up to like Valkyr, and then I'll move to then I'll move up to Octavia, Protea and Octavia. But I already did Protea anyway, so I'll just do Octavia. All right, so Wisp now, Wisp and yeah, Wisp and Valkyr. I think I did builds on Valkyr though, but this is just showcasing. This is just showcasing. This is not actually doing a build. Just showcasing ability. It's kind of like selecting a build, but not showcasing. So Valkyr is like a mid-level Warframe. She can't do much of anything unless they're a fourth. I would say, actually, to be honest with you, I would say she's low tier, because most of her abilities isn't really helpful towards anyone unless they're within range. And she's mostly a melee. She's kind of like Wukong. But then if you consider Wukong to be a great Warframe when it comes to damage and criticals, then you have to consider her as well, pure melee, because she's more likely to survive longer than Wukong will. Alright, so I'll go from Wisp to Valkyr. So let's see. So even though I started this stream, like say, a few minutes ago, which is probably like 9. So this is just a little late. It's just because I had to do the giveaways, That's the only reason why the stream is starting a little later than usual, because I had to do the giveaway for the clan and all the items that I'm going to give away in the clan. So I had to make sure those texts were up. Then I had to make sure that I got all the items set. Then we did a couple of trading, and then boom, I finally am able to concentrate on doing the showcasing. So now I'm showcasing, not talking about other stuff. This is Whips, and this is her capabilities. Actually, you know what? I'll do it the same like I do all the Warframes. I'll start from 0. So as this base Warframe performance, um, at 175 armor, this Warframe has a weak armor, which means she's going to die a lot if you don't buff up her armor. Anything that's within 100, as I stated before, means that the Warframe is weak against armor. So it won't take much for an enemy to get past her shields and then pass her armor and then kill her, which is not good for any Warframe that's within 100. Energy is very good. Health, very good. Shields, weak. So all around, this Warframe is weak. All around. Without any mods on, this Warframe is a weak Warframe. This Warframe is weak in armor. This Warframe is weak in shields. And this Warframe sprint speed is not that good either. Most Warframes, their sprint speed is 105 or 110. This Warframe speed is 120. So this Warframe is very slow when it comes to sprinting speed. But why this Warframe is considered mid-tier to high tier, I would consider this Warframe mid-tier. It's not within her kit of her actual setup, her base setup. Because if it wasn't for her powers, this Warframe would be complete garbage. Hands down. If it wasn't for her powers, this Warframe would be complete garbage. So her kit, her powers is what makes this Warframe fantastic. So as a base for this Warframe's set, this is our power ability set. So it's better based on this. Now, as a helpful note, when you're fighting strong level enemies, it will take, and I mean really strong level enemies, it will take just a couple of shots for them to knock off your shields. And then after they knock off the shields, the only thing that stands between you dying is your armor. Because once they get past the armor, it's straight, bullet goes straight for the health. So that's something to be considered. If you don't have high shields, which most Warframes don't, you have to have at least a decent amount of armor to block off those attacks once your shield goes down. So that's a thing that you always must know, especially for Warframes that are weak. And if you can't do that, then you need to substitute for weak shields and weak armor, powers that could boost up your shields, and powers that could reinforce your armor. In this case, she doesn't have anything to reinforce her armor, but she does have things to buff up her shields. And I don't mean buff up her shields like buff the shields up. I mean like it actually stuns enemies, giving her enough time to replenish her shields. So it's kind of like, it's not really a buff to her shields. Actually, it's hard to talk when the music is going crazy in the background. Alright. It's not really like her shields are getting buffed, but it's more like she has enough time to regenerate her shields back. Like, it will go slow regenerating back. But those few seconds of them being stunned is the difference between shields going off and shields going on again. Now, keep that in mind that if an enemy is within 100 range of her, that's fine. If an enemy is in 100 range of her, forward, back, slide to the left and to the right, that's fine. It's the enemies at a great distance. Once they see you, see where you are, they'll start shooting automatically. So the moment they enter a room and they see you, they'll start aiming towards you because that's the standard setup for the game. An enemy can see you from short range, and an enemy can see you from long range. And most enemies see you from long range because it doesn't take much for an enemy to see you across the street or something like that, or on a high rise. The moment they see a target somewhere, they'll start aiming and shooting at the target. And like say for individuals like Wukong or like say Trinity or Atlas, they don't have to worry about that because they have good enough armor or at least good enough powers to replenish their shields and their health and stuff. So they don't have to worry about range. She, on the other hand, does not have anything to replenish her shields and doesn't have anything to replenish her health. She only has something that to have like double, like it says here, vitality mode, which means her max health will start to increase by the seconds. So that will be how she replenishes her health. And I guess you could say in some ways it's the same as other Warframes that have the is her kit is very strange. That's what I'm trying to say. She is a Warframe designed specifically for crowd control, but she's also a Warframe that could buff herself and others as well, and that doesn't require range either. But most of the time it does. So the main thing is to consider range when you're using this character. Not ridiculous range, just decent enough range so you could catch those enemies that are at a certain distance, as well as keep at the same time not go too far beyond that distance that it becomes an issue to even find where the enemies are. Because if her shockwave hits an enemy that's behind the door, before you even get to the enemy behind the door, her powers of the shock will wear off. So by the time you get to the enemy to shoot the enemy, they're not going to be affected by the stun anymore. You have to consider when she's using her first ability, how long it's going to be, how far it's going to be, and how long it will take you to get to the enemy based on the distance so you could get off shots and for them to die. So there are three things that are going to be happening. One, how far is the radius? Two, how long it would take for you to get to the enemy. Three, how long it would take for you to shoot the enemy before they die. So you have to count for how much time duration you have on this stun ability for it to last so you could get enough shots off so they could die. And at the same time making sure everyone else around you is stunned after you kill that enemy so you could work on the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. So the stun doesn't have to be long. It just has to, once it wears off, it just have to shock them again. Fast enough so you won't have to worry about taking heavy damage. So in this case, her base stun, or should I say base radius, is 5 meters, which is fine, but it's not good. At a drain of 25, which is good. At a buff duration of 30 seconds, which is very good. It's just the range is not good. Everything on here is good except three things. The range, and for the moth, for all moths to be honest with you, you have to increase the strength. Because for all moths, for you to get more health back, you have to increase strength so you could get more shocks, so you could get faster movement, so you could get more health back. And then the last of these things is not just strength, not just range. The last of these things is, as I said before, I guess you could say duration. But it really depends on how much duration you want to put on them. I mean, if you want more buffs, the longer buffs, I'm mean, 30 seconds is fine, but if you want more than 30 seconds, it's up to you. So what I am going to do, since the buff duration is 30 seconds and the radius, it doesn't say for shock moth how long they're going to be shocked for. So that's a good thing. That's the one good thing about this character that I like better than other characters, such as Volt and other Warframes that could do stun abilities. It doesn't state how long the character can stun the enemy for. It just states that within the kit, they do 100% status chance for electricity. So the enemies will always get stunned. So you have to count how long it would take for them to get shocked, and then for the shock to wear off, for them to get shocked again. And that typically goes with regards to, I guess you could say, the amount of enemies in the area as well as the strength you've applied. It doesn't have anything to do with duration, because the buff duration is for yourself, for health, for speed, and for status. I mean, not for status chance, and for amount of enemies that are going to be getting shocked. It doesn't have anything to do for the timer how long they're going to be shocked. That's not what the buff duration is for. Otherwise, if that's the case, enemies will be staying shocked for longer than 30. I guess you would say they've been staying shocked for a long time. And if they're going to be staying shocked for a long time, why need a Volt Warframe when you could just use Wisp? But I'll show it once I'm in combat. So this is the empty one. I'll go to this one right here. Now my strength on here is 249. My range is 230. I really should have it at 145. But I have it at 130. Because like I said, if your range goes too far, it should actually be 145. But if your range goes too far, the time for which they get shocked and stunned and going to their little, frenzy of being shocked and electrified stays on for a couple of seconds, and then it wears off. And then they get control of their guns again, and then they start firing. But the moment they start firing, depending on how long it took them to get shocked, then they get shocked again. So let's say, for instance, they get shocked for like 10 seconds. They have a full 10 seconds to start shooting at you before they get shocked again a second time. But I believe it doesn't go that way. I believe this Warframe, because it doesn't state specifically in her kit, this Warframe can shock for a longer period rather than a short amount of time for which they get control of their weapons and able to shoot again. I believe it's a consistent thing. It's like they get a good 10 seconds to be shocked and a good 3 or 4 seconds to not be shocked anymore. So they could get off a good 3 or 4 bullets on you before they're shocked again. I'll prove this in mission. I'll just use the standard Warframe first. I won't even focus on the other abilities. I'll just go into mission with this standard Warframe and just use the first ability. Now before that, it's another thing you have to remember with regards to that first ability. You have to be able to use all 3 of them in mission. It's imperative to use all 3 of them in mission. If you notice, within this kit, you get 25% energy taken from you to use all 3 of them. So it's not 25 per, it's 25 for the whole thing. So you get to use all 3 of them. And then another 25 will be taken out if you decide to use it again. So that's great, because now you get health, haste, and shock for just 25% of, or 25 energy taken from you. This is standard, and this is good, but it's standard. And I'll show it while I'm in mission. But it's also important to remember, each of these individual ones are button presses. So if you want to do one, you press it once. In order to do the second one, you will have to switch off to the haste and then press that button for haste. And then you have to switch off to shock and then press that button for shock. You don't want to do that. what you want to do is go into your options button, and in your options button, go to custom controller or customize controller. And where you would typically have your sprint, I have my sprint being my up button. Like I said before in past videos, the D-pad is terrible for powers. It only works for powers when the power can be used once. It doesn't work for button press or holding powers. Like if your power requires you to hold down the button, then your center D-pad is garbage. You need to attach that ability to a button, a literal button, in order for you to hold that button down. The D-pad can only do swipe to right, swipe to left, swipe up, swipe down, or press in the center to see map. It could also do toggle stuff. But if all powers are on your D-pad, you might accidentally press the B ability when you actually want to press the D ability, because they're located on center pad. They're not individual buttons separated like this or like this. So what you want to do is you want to put that A ability on your sprint button, and just remember where your sprint is. Now your A ability is your sprint ability, and your sprint ability is now your A ability. So you just put that there because that's the easiest one to remember. It's the up button. So now my up button will always be my sprint ability. So when I'm pressing my up button now, she's still sprinting. I can't press it and then slow it down. I would have to press the swipe to the right. Swipe to the left to slow her down now. And then press swipe to the left again to speed her up. And then do the same thing. And now my first ability is my up button now, which is best for me anyway, because that's the easiest way for me to do hold down of a power and to switch off real quick in mission. So I'll test that default ability at 100% range on, I guess, it doesn't really matter. I'll go in any mission. A survival will work better. But then if I do a survival, then it'll take forever. So I'll do a standard mission. I'll do this. I'll do a sortie, because it has to do a defense here. So I'll just do the sortie. You know, truth, I should be not trying this on exterminate, but the purpose of this doesn't really matter the type of mission. It's just to make sure the enemy doesn't die too quick from the shock. Because if I pick a low level enemy and they get shot by 100% shock damage, they might die too quickly. So I at least selected this for the enemies to be strong. Okay, so only two of the same are out. Okay, different one is out. And okay, so now all three of them are out. So the buff is coming from all three. So now I'm moving much faster because of that. So the enemies are going to be stunned. See, he's stunned. So that's about, I would say about 3 to 5 seconds. So let's see. One, two, three, four, five. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds. Let's see how long he stays. Okay, try that again. It's a little hard to do it when everyone's killing everything. Plus, the duration period only lasts for a certain time, so you have to consider that as well. Like if you have 30 seconds of buff duration, that's how long you get to use it. So I have to consider that too. So you got to count 1, 2, 3, 4. This blasted guy just took off my powers. Okay, so now they're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, this is why I say it's hard to actually do stuff in the mission. I should have really tested this on solo.
The enemy is broken. Well done. Now get to extraction.
So that's basically it. The weaker enemies, they shock for much longer. Stronger enemies, maximum you'll probably get out of any enemy that's super strong is about 3 to 4 seconds of shock. I don't think you'll ever get anything more than 3 to 4 seconds of shock. But remember, everything is based on strength. So their shock, which is 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, is based on my kit of this Warframe not having any mods on, being at its base standard. So the base standard shock for enemy that's level 50 and higher is 3 to 4 seconds. Without any modifications on, is 3 to 4 seconds. So when you're doing anything within the kit of the Wisp Warframe, you must consider that as well. So the standard for an all-rounder Wisp fighting level, like say 0 to 50, like consider that 0 to 50, level 50 enemies, they will always be shocked for about 3 to 4 seconds, which means you will always get that amount of health back per the second, equal to that, or at least consider it that way. Like whatever amount of health you lost, 3 or 4 health back, based on the time it takes for the enemy to be shocked as well. Same as for haste, your speed will only be like, based on what it's saying, it'll only be 20% more once you put it down, and your firing rate will only be like 30% more. That's why I wasn't going at a speed too much faster than my standard speed. It was only slightly faster, because it's the base, and why the enemies weren't being shocked for a long time. Like targets that can be affected can hit up to 5 enemies. I would say a good way to define how long they'll stay shocked is to look at that as well. Even though it says you could shock 5 targets, you could also use that as how long it would take them to be shocked. I'll show it. And if I'm 100% wrong, then it doesn't matter based on strength. I mean, based on enemy affected. See, still 5 enemies, so it should still stay at 5, below 5 seconds, like 3 to 5. I mean, 3 to 4. So the amount of targets doesn't based on ability strength whatsoever. And it doesn't based on range either. The targets will still be 5 enemies shocked because I increased my range and I increased my strength. So we'll see how long it takes for them to be shocked with this. Would it still be the 3 to 4 seconds, or would it be longer? So now I'm going to check it out with more strength and more range. Now this is the defense, so it'd be a little tougher, but it doesn't really matter. It was from 50 to 60, and this one is just from 60 to 80. The sole purpose of this is to check out how long it takes for them to be shocked. Because once you get down how long it takes for them to be shocked, then you'll be able to figure out how the other abilities work extremely easier. Because her first is her most important skill, her first ability. Once you understand how her first works, all the other abilities will become second nature.
Levels low. Consuming vitamin slurry. My assistance will increase your probability of success considerably.
Alright, so all we got to do now is find an enemy and get them shocked. Another fun fact with regards to her is like if once you have the ability on, it stays on. The 30-second buff duration that was on her base standard applies to even if you put mods and strength on it. It's how long you stay away from this, from these little flower petals. So if you're outside of the range of the flower petals, it's how long outside the range of the flower petals would it stay on before you have to go back to the flower petals and put it on again. You see the timer is counting down for all three of them. That's because I'm not near them. Once you go over them again, they'll refill, allowing you to gain the buffs from them again. See, they're infinite again. Now they start counting down. So that's why people like the Wisp. You throw it down, you run through it multiple times, you go towards the enemy, shock them or whatever, run back to it again while you're watching the countdown, and then continue on. And you don't have to worry about turning it off and turning it on. Just keep going, running over it over and over and over again. It'll go right back up to infinite. And then it'll count down for however long the buff duration you have on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 seconds. Okay, so that's basically the gist of it. That's what I wanted to see. Because you're given a total of 5 enemies that you could shock at a time, that's also a way to dictate how long the enemy is going to be shocked for. About a maximum of 5 seconds. So it's not really 3 to 4 seconds. It's just that the countdown time is much slower than me counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it actually takes its time with the 5 seconds. So that's a great way to remember how long the stun takes. 5 enemies can be affected, which means you get 5 seconds for them to be affected by the stun, regardless of what strength you put on the stun. And you can always run back over it over and over again to get it back up. And this the beauty part about her flower petals. It also works on your bots. So if a bot runs over it, your bot get a buff from it as well. Now these guys are particularly tricky. It won't work on them. You have to knock down their shields first, and then affect them with the stun. Actually, I never checked to see if the operator can get the benefits. No, the operator cannot get the benefits. Only a Warframe can get the benefits. That would be nice if Warframe is able to, operator is able to get the benefits as well. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you see what I meant by by the time you run over to the enemy, if that 5 seconds is over, they'll start to fire at you again. Yeah. So that's 5 seconds for them to be stunned, 5 seconds for them to be out of the stun and start shooting you, and then 5 seconds for them to be stunned again. So if they're far from you after they got stunned for that 5 seconds, yeah, that's no good, because you could run right up to an enemy after they've been stunned for that 5 seconds and start getting shot up. So you don't want your stun radius to be too far from you. You want it to be far enough so the moment they get shocked, you could see them and be able to get to them in enough time to kill them. like this guy. These ones are stubborn. You have to take this off first and then wait for the shot. No, it's not fully off. That's why I tend to keep my Wisp at, if I'm going to go range, I'm going to keep her at maximum of 130 to 145. I will never keep my Wisp beyond that 145 range, simply because it only takes a couple of seconds for that shock duration to wear off before they start capping at me again. So just remember, mod her for strength and range, and a little bit of duration. More strength equals more health returns, equals faster firing rate, equals quicker, I guess, quicker buffs, and also equals the most important one of all, faster movement. Faster you could get to an enemy, faster you could fire off, quicker and faster way for them to be dead. And that's the main objective in Warframe, is to kill your enemy as fast as possible before they kill you. The Wisp Warframe is just beautiful, man. It's just beautiful. You simply got to put the first ability down once, and you never have to mess with the first ability ever again. You just keep running back and over it, over and over and over again. Just mod that baby for range, for a decent amount of range, and for a hell of a lot of strength. It's all about strength and just decent range. Strength more than anything. Now, if you notice, certain enemies aren't getting, even though they're getting shocked, they're still moving out of the shock. That's because my ability strength isn't beyond 250. So it's important to have her ability strength at 300 in order to shock all enemies. That's level 0 all the way to level 100 enemies.
Very impressive, Tenno. You held them all back. Time to get out of here.
And that was the test run for her first ability. That was just the first. That's why I say Warframe is far more complicated than you think. That was just her first ability. Warframe is very complicated if you don't know what you're doing. So you have to really get into the studies of it. Now, let's go on to the other abilities. So that was the first. Now, that was just showing it at a, let me see, the range was 130. Yeah, range was good. Usually I have it at 145, but the range was good. Anything beyond 145, you're actually hurting yourself. But typically 100 to 130 is where you really want it. You only have like something like 145. It's like you're doing like extremely high defense, so you want to keep enemies shocked. I mean, if here's the thing, if you're able to kill fast, you don't need 145. 130 is fine, good enough. This is at 249 ability strength. And you notice even at 249 ability strength, enemies that going from 60 to 80 in strength, some of them, it wasn't even affecting some of them. Not even some of them. For it to affect enemies from 60 to 80, you have to be above 250. That's for enemies level 60 to 80. For enemies that are level 100 and higher, you have to be above 300 power strength to even affect them with a shock stun. So that's just the standard. That's common sense. So if that's the case, what I'll do is I'll switch up certain things, and then I'll cut my mic right now. I'll keep it silent. I'll just test out certain things right now to see what works and what doesn't work. Because I do need a certain amount of efficiency, but I don't need a lot. I just need enough to do all my fourth abilities. And at 55, I probably would be able to still do all of them with the prime flow on. But if I get stunned once with a shock ability to knock off my health, it won't work. But I believe at 55 efficiency, I should be fine, since you only need to cast down first ability once. The other abilities, which might require you to do more than one casting, is where you would need probably about 100. But typically, you don't need to use any of our other abilities. Maybe just one other. So 55 is okay and decent. So let me just check something. Alright, so I kind of screwed up on her build. I would need a slot to increase her duration amount. Um, at 50% efficiency, that's fine. That's where I really want it to be. I wanted to her to want it to be all the way. Actually, maybe you know what? Let me increase it even more. Um, can I even do it again? No, we need 15,000. I only got 5. All right, so I'll keep it there at the moment. So at maxed out blind rage, she should be at 329, which will give me at a total of 99. I don't like that 99. I want a full 100. But here's the thing. That's why I say from 100 to 130 is good, but at the same time, if you don't have enough range to get close to an enemy, they won't be shocked enough for you to run over to them. Um, Typically, decent range will be like, here's the thing. For this character to, all characters to work effectively in mission, you always need to have prime sure-footed on so you don't get knocked down. So you'll always want to increase your strength and then have prime sure-footed here anyway, which will be here. But the sacrifice will be range in order to get the 97% of speed, actually 64% of speed as well as 75% of firing rate. Um, but you will be locking out range. But at the same time, you also need duration. You also need a lot of duration. So, what would you really want? You want to get knocked down? Hell no. I don't like getting knocked down. But if I stun the enemy, it won't be able to knock me down. But if they're those Exumus types that you have to get past of their powers in order to stun them, most likely you will probably get knocked down. So you will always want this to be prime sure-footed, or at least something that you could use if you're not planning on using prime sure-footed. Like if you really don't care about being knocked down, then you can put on something like this, and then it will knock your power strength up to beyond 100, which is where you want to be anyway. But then there's the factor of range. Um, can you work against fighting an enemy at 100 range? Sure, you can. You could use 100. But the thing is, I forgot that because I was so focused on range. I forgot that duration is something that's very much needed in order for your buff to stay active on yourself long enough for it to stay on yourself while you're running around killing. Now, it will stay on for a while, for full 20 seconds, almost 22 seconds or more. But if it's taking you like a full 10 seconds to try to kill multiple targets, um, like this is fine. This buff duration is fine because you can always run back to it. So you don't have to worry about it being past 30. But the reason why the game give you 30 as a set from the beginning, because they're basically telling you that's the standard that this Warframe should be kept at. It shouldn't fall below that 21. If it falls below the 21, you have to up your power strength, you have to up your speed, which I've done. So that's why I said at 21 it's also fine. So all I need to do now is, if I'm going to keep it there, that's if I'm going to keep my duration there, which it really shouldn't, um, I need that range. And that's why I'm going to put it here. And this is where I'm going to test. But see, I still don't have enough. And the main reason is because of the intensify and the vitality, the umbras. They take up so much slots. Um, so what I'm going to do for that is, just for testing purposes alone, I'm going to test it in this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to not test it. I'm going to leave it at 100, and I'm going to test this build in mission. I really know it's supposed to be at least more than this in duration, based on what it's telling me. That I'm really low and I'm using up too much energy, but that should be fine. Once I throw all 3 of them down, I'm fine. My only concern is to stay away from the flowers for too long, my petals for too long. Like if I'm away for too long and I'm not paying attention to my little indicators at the upper right, then I'm in trouble. That's why it gives you a base of 30 seconds, because depending on how good you are, it will consider how long it would take for you to kill them. So I believe I'm good enough to take down enemies without worrying about the seconds falling away, and then I need to get buff again. Because remember, this is a weak Warframe. This is the max her health can go with this setup, 850, and her shields is completely garbage. So she's solely dependent on stunning enemies. So now I'm going to test it. If I need more range, then that's what I was saying. Need at least a base of 130. I'm not going to do a spy. I'm going to do another defense mission. But these enemies are so weak, they'll probably die. You know what? Since I do need to change something out. No, I'll leave it there. Is there anything I need to level? No, there's nothing I need to level. Secondaries. Actually, based on former count. No zeros. Another quick way to actually know if you've leveled up a weapon or not is when you go into your inventory. Like say you're in Warframe, you go into your little arsenal here. What you do is you go on the weapon, you scroll over the weapon, and then you press X button on the weapon, and it'll bring up various different weapons. So what you do is instead of going for search, just go for what it says here, press on that, and just press on it just once, just press on the button once. A little drop down menu will pop up. It'll say name, rank, form account, usage, focus lens, whichever one you pick, whatever you're trying to look at, that's on the weapon, or the name of the weapon, or the rank of the weapon, or the usage of the weapon. So if you press usage, it'll probably just bring up shotguns. I mean, or it won't bring up shotguns, it'll bring up usage in combat. Or how often did you use it in combat? Whichever one you use the most, I guess. And then if you press form account, it will say which one is the weapon you format the most, and then it will go down to your last format and name, so on and so forth. So for this one, I'm picking form account because the former ones, the ones that haven't been formatted at least more than once, are down here. These are the ones that have never been formatted, not even once. So you go all the way to the bottom and go to see if there's even one that hasn't been maxed out. And there's none. Same for pistols. You go all the way to the bottom. Everything is maxed out. Same for melee weapons. It will eventually click down from how many times you form it to like 1, and then to maxed out, and then to 0. So yeah, so everything's maxed out on melee as well. Alright, so there's nothing to level up, and I am using the Warframe, so this is just an example. I'm actually testing this Warframe's abilities and everything, so I'm not going to switch off from a different Warframe. to see if another Warframe has form count of 0. All right, so I'll just pick up mission real quick. Why I'm still focusing on the first ability is because the first ability is the bread and butter. Here's the reason why. Here's the main reason. I'll jump into mission, but I'll just show the reason. First ability is where three things happen. Three things happen all at once, and then three other things happen up top of those three things happen. One, you can run out of range of the flower petals and stay away and kill for a certain amount of time, but then you have to run back to it. And then there's the duration period of well, actually, just one other thing happens. I'm talking about three. Three things happen here. You put this down. Put all three of them down. And then the fourth thing is how long you got to stay away from the petals before you have to run back to the petals. That's basically the first ability in a nutshell. It's the most important ability in her kit. Second ability is probably her most useless one. No one really uses that ability. And third ability is her second most useful one. And of course, her fourth ability is her most useless one. Because nobody really stay in one place at one time and then shoot enemies. It might seem like her fourth ability is the strongest, but it goes in a straight line. It's not like she could turn the ability in various different angles in order to do it. It only shoots off in one straight line. So if an enemy is shooting her from the side, she's screwed. That's why her fourth ability is her useless one, and her second is the second most useless one. Yeah, I believe even her passive ability is more useful than her fourth and her second ability, which is she jumps in the air and she slow motions in the air, like most Warframes do. They slow motion in the air. When she slow motions in the air, she's invisible. She's like a ghost. So an enemy cannot see her while she's slow motioning in the air. And there's no actual way for you to slow down your slow motion in the air whatsoever. You can speed up how fast you travel in the air, or how fast you want to cut off how fast you travel in the slow motion in the air. But there's nothing to actually slow down the slow motion in the air, like to make it slower than every other Warframes. So she could stay invisible for even longer. So there's nothing like that in the game. At least I haven't seen it yet. So second and fourth ability most useless. First and second ability most useful. You only use the third ability when you're in a sticky situation. And typically when you're surrounded by enemies, that's a sticky situation. If your first ain't giving you the stun you need to blind enemies. So the first and the second kind of synergize with each other. That's why I said this is an average Warframe that's kind of above average. She's the transition between going from average to above average, but she's not fully 100% above average. She's a transition Warframe between average to above average because, one, she has two useless abilities rather than three useful abilities and only one useless. So any Warframe that has two useless abilities will always be the transition between mid to high level rather than just being in the high level from stat. So now I'll use this in mission. I guess I could use it on exterminate, but it's mostly actually, you know what, might as well get some relics in the process. But I have to pick out AXI for this because otherwise these enemies will die too quickly. But if I pick a defense, enemies are going to keep coming, which is good. I just hope they don't die off from the electricity too. Well, it's only 100% damage, electricity damage, so the ability strength is not like it's going into the electricity to be more than 100% electric power strength. It's just the standard 100% electric shock, which means they're guaranteed to be shocked. Is the electricity doesn't scale in power strength. At least it doesn't say it scales in power strength. Everything else scales in power strength though, such as speed, such as health. But yeah, okay, so I'll just use this. So after I show the first and the third, that'll be it. I'll just switch off to the next frame.
We are readying reinforcements. Keep fighting, Tenno.
Your crowns are safe in my grasp, oh Parvos. Protect me!
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
Okay, so you see, as I'm traveling with the buff on my character, I don't have to worry too much about range because as long as I have 100 range and I have the buff on, as long as I'm outside of this and it's ticking away, if I kill the enemy fast enough within that time period at 100 range, I'm still good. I just have to make sure to run back before it runs out and then go to the distance regardless of where they are. And the effective 100 range will still be in effect. So if I'm here, I'm all the way from where my little flowers are. An enemy run through that door, an enemy will still get shocked by it because they're within that 100% range. Like you hear them getting shocked, it's 100% range from up, down, left, right. That means it's like a bubble. It's like a bubble they're getting shocked. But I have to make sure to run back to my buffs to get it active again. So anywhere from 100 to 130 range is fine. The main focus is to get strength level beyond 300. That's the main focus.
We're done here. The extraction team will take over from here. Time to evacuate.
So a lot of people who own PlayStation 5, they many a times they forget to press the center button on their controller, which basically mutes their controller because their controller also pick up sound from around them. So even if they're wearing a mic in order to hear what's going on in the game or talk to their friends while they're in the game, their friends are not just hearing what they're saying through their mic, they're also hearing what's coming through um, their controller, which means if they're not talking in the mic on their mic, even though their headphones are on, but they're muted their mic or they just aren't talking, it won't even make a difference because their controller isn't muted. So in order for that to happen, you have to press that center button on your controller to mute it. That's the difference between PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. If you forget to not mute your controller while you're playing, and it's easy to forget, it'll still pick up background noise. So you're thinking, oh, let me just mute my mic so no one can hear me. Like, if you forget to mute your controller as well, they're definitely still going to hear you. They just won't hear you through the mic. So that's probably what that was with that mission and that guy. I could hear his background noise. He forgot to mute his controller. So that was a Wisp in a nutshell. And that was a third ability. Actually, I think I used a third ability at least once in a mission. Or maybe I didn't. But I'll do it again. But this one will be real quick. But his base standard is that you always want to have your, let me just show it. You always want to have your buff to be long enough for you to have it on. That's why they give you 30 seconds. But if you're able to kill fast at 21 seconds, that's fine. I'm able to do it fast enough, at least fast enough to kill them so I can run back and then turn it back on again. And then the range for which your buff goes is not the buff beyond where your little flower petals are. It's the buff based on what's active on you and travel around your body to shock enemies. So it'll still stay within that range of however far the radius is, 5 meters. For this example, 5 meter radius. Um, and then you have one, because I put on ability strength, the health per second is 101.7 health per second. So every second I'm getting 100% of health back in return because I increased my ability strength. That's what's very important for her survival. It's not just speed, it's not just firing rate. Speed multiplier is not just firing rate. It's also getting a lot of health back really fast, really quick. So that's a lot of health back per the second. So it'll be very hard for enemies to kill her per the second if she's getting a lot of health back in return. And obviously in the haste mode, another reason why you want to have your strength above 300 is so that for speed multipliers with regards to your firing rate, you're able to get off 60 more than 65% of speed towards your firing rate to add to your multiplier. So the speed is multiplied up. So you get 100% of firing rate, and then you get a 65% additional speed towards your movement. So 100% firing rate, 65% additional speed towards your movement. So if your movement speed was already like her movement speed is garbage, but if her movement speed was, let's say, like Loki movement speed was, then that 65% you added to Loki's base speed, I believe, is 30. Like her speed is 20%, and Loki's, I think, it's like 30%. So 60, 70, 80. Yeah, so Loki would probably be like at 80. Like if he had this buff, he'd be have a speed of 80. Um, the other Warframes such as Ghost are faster, but if they were to receive her buff, they would be like at 100% movement speed. She just has like 67% additional movement speed added towards her base standard movement speed anyway. So that's a huge, because that's more than half of speed added towards her movement speed, which is important. I really want to get her movement speed to like 75%, but that's not going to happen. I believe the max you could get her movement speed is her speed. I keep saying movement speed. Her speed multiplier. I think the max you could get her speed multiplier is 70%. And this is something I'm very curious about. These people have been hitting the MR30s and stuff fast. I need to know what they're doing to get to that high level so quick. So I'm gonna probably ask them how you get there so fast. And so I just need to be curious about that. So let me just go on mission right now. I find it very strange that people can be leveling up that fast to get to level 30. Unless they do nothing but play Warframe all the time. Like, they do absolutely nothing but play Warframe art and everything within Warframe. I don't know, man. Like, must be nice to just like think about playing just one game all the time. I think I'll go crazy if I just play one game all the time, or one or two games for that matter. Yeah. So let me just go back in the mission. Okay. So let's try. Actually, I've never showed the Zarmon fights, so I'm going to show some Zarmon fights. Zarmon Exterminate. These guys are pretty strong anyway, so might as well. Plus, I got to do some fissure runs. So I'm going to Zarmon. I'm going to go. I've never showed this within any of my streams. The Zarmon 10-0. This was the last update within Warframe. By the way, this was the last update that happened probably not even like about a month and a half ago. Not even a month and a half, like a month and a week. I would say about a month and a half ago. The ship appeared out of nowhere. Anywhere from a month and a half to about 2 months if I'm off. So I would say like June, that's when the Zarmon 10-0 popped up in Warframe. No, not even June, July. That's when I believe it was released, in July.
Ready to deploy you wherever you could do the most good.
Alright, so we're going to do this with Flood.
Trusting you'll get it done.
It's a very beautiful place. Very interesting scenery. This is all inside of a ship, a gigantic ship. So it's like a little Zen garden. Little greenhouse effect going here. Zen garden / greenhouse effect. It's a huge ship. Huge ship. And it's ridiculously huge. It's like a mini Death Star. It's not bigger than the Death Star, but it's like a mini version of Death Star.
You may notice combat conditions worsening.
And there are many different floors as well.
Oh look, you sealed a rupture. Not bad. The angels have torn open another rupture. Fill it with Vitaplast before this whole ship goes topsy-turvy. difficulties to report.
Another great thing about this Warframe is when you're in the air and you reload while you're in air, you don't have to worry about enemies shooting at you while you're reloading in the air. Because you're invisible when you're in slow motion in the air. So if you're reloading while you're in slow motion in the air, they can't do anything about it. Also, if you take like heavy damage when you're in the air, you can't take additional more damage thereafter because they can't see you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if I do this and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 5 seconds of them not being able to see me while I'm in the air. The main thing is to always keep your eye on your buffs at the top.
Wow! Phytoplast sealed that rupture. Just as I knew it would. Void saturation. Seal some ruptures or get out of there. Void saturation is approaching critical levels. Critical levels can kill you. Shall I explain further? Floods have a tendency to wash in terrible things. One of those things is approaching. Do be careful. abomination to worry about. Opened an escape lift for you. Use it when you need it. You have reached maximum void saturation. This typically results in death. Another one.
So that was that. It was a little different from it was a little different from the standard missions, um, which are present in the regular Warframe missions, Kova or Corpus or Grenier. But that's basically how things go in the Zarmon. Each things are differently. Each works. Um, they're not the same like extermination mission or regular defense mission. It's more based on a mode of how you could contain and conserve um, the stability of the Zarmon. So the more you collect void shells or void fissures or void plums, the more you're able to seal off like irregularities within the ship. So that's one of the things that is part of the Zarmon. It's not like excavation or extraction or defense. It's more like trying to maintain the balance of stability within the entire ship itself, because the enemies that are in the ship are trying to tear it apart. So that's one thing. And then it has its own personal sentient bots in here, so on and so forth. But yeah, but that's pretty much Wisp's kit, Wisp, her kit, and her capabilities and how she operates in the mission. So the next will be beside Wisp, I would say the next on there will be, if I'm going by name, not by form account, would be the one I said I was going to do was Valkyr after this. So after Valkyr, might call it a day on this, but I'll leave this Warframe on to know that I basically described the Wisp kit. Now, see, the thing is, in order to properly describe Wisp kit, you have to show all of her abilities. So I have to do just one more mission in order to show every one of her abilities and why they're so useless and or why they can be helpful. So I believe her second ability, if Digital Extreme work on her second ability more, it'll be very beneficial towards her in combat. So this is her second ability, and it's basically a cast forward a special image of Wisp to confuse and distract enemies, reactivate to travel to a new position, hold to have the image travel faster, and teleport to his position on release. So basically, you're using this to move from location to location, while at the same time confuse and distract enemy along the way. So enemies will be confused and distracted by her, by this thing. So as she's moving in the air, the enemies will be looking at it, trying to shoot it, and it will be a distraction to them. But that's if they're not looking in a straight line or in the direction for which it's flowing. So if they're at the far 180 from her, they're not going to pay attention to it. It's not like it's a lure or it's luring them. They'll only follow it if they see it. But if they don't see it, or if it's not in front of them, it's pretty much useless. It would have to be something that they are seeing all at the same time. Otherwise, if they're not seeing it all at the same time, it's useless. So, say, for instance, if I start from my original point, I cast ability halfway from where I start to where the halfway point of where it's traveling. If an enemy decides to come through a door after I already cast it and it's already past the halfway point, they're not going to see that Warframe ability because it's already past their location. Like they came through a door and it just went by the door. They're not going to follow it after it goes by the door. They're going to look at the Warframe that's in front of them standing in front of them at the moment, not the Warframe's ability that's passed by them. Now, if they walk through the door and you cast it, then they'll be able to see it because that's the first thing they'll see as they walk through the door, while it's traveling by. But if you happen to like cast it way before then and it passed by, then they're not going to see it. So that's the bad thing about the second ability, why I don't like it that much. But it's not the worst of the ability. At least it's not like the fourth ability, which is, you would think it'll be strong and it's great and everything, and it says all this nice stuff, has the power of the sun and does tons of damage. But it's really not, if you really think about it. Its base damage is like 1,500, and that's like the standard health of a basic, like level, I believe level 50 enemy. Not even. So if you fight like say level 100 enemies, it won't even kill them straight off. So it's like she's doing a Goku blast, using all her energy in order to kill enemies. They're not going to die off if they're level 80 to 100, and especially they're not going to die off if they're level 132, level like 175. So you'll be wasting a lot of energy trying to kill one enemy who's not going to die from one full blast. You'll run out of energy before that even happens, because this thing is drains per the second. So you don't want to use that anyway to begin with, unless you have no choice but to use it. And it's not like it's going to do a lot of damage anyway. So I will show it in mission. And it's why it's so useless is, like, if you're really hung up on energy, like if you're down to your last drop of energy, like you only have like 30% energy left, you're not going to use that fourth ability. You might use the third. You definitely will use the one, and it's most likely that you will never use the second and the fourth, unless you really have no other reason why to use it, or you have no choice but to use it. Or if you're running with another Warframe that's able to give you consistent energy. So I'll use it. I'll just play a random mission. Not even like a long mission, a very short mission. Maybe a rescue. But they're so weak they'll die off straight. I guess I'll use sabotage. Yeah, so her kit is good. I mean, the second ability is good if you see a bunch of enemies in front of you. But if an enemy is behind you, or to the far left or the far right, the second ability is kind of pointless. And the fourth ability is kind of a useless thing. Also, if an enemy is not directly in front of you. Also, if they're not above level 100. And also, because it stun locks you in order to do that Goku blast. So you can't move it. You can't move the powers, nor move your body when doing it. See, like this.
Your target is the system mainframe. Deliver the
You can only, well, actually, no, you can move your body, but you can't move the powers itself. So you can move around. So I almost forgot that. Like, you can move around when you have the powers on. But you can't move the powers itself. But the bad part is that it drains so much energy, which is obvious. It also does something else too, and you think the fourth ability is so great. Like, if you're not aiming directly at the enemy, like if you do the fourth ability like this, and if it's not centered on that enemy, if you go too much to the left or too much to the right while it's on, and you're not center focus on the enemy, you're not getting that full damage of the blast on the enemy. It has to be pointed directly on the enemy, otherwise it's residual effects. It's not direct effects. So for some reason I thought that you couldn't move when she had her ability using her fourth, but it must be a different Warframe. But it doesn't matter anyway, because she doesn't do enough damage on her fourth anyway. You could raise her power strength to above 300, or even to above 330 in the power strength, and her fourth ability wouldn't do much damage against enemies that are level 80 to level 100, enough to kill them fast enough. You would think it has the power to like kill a level 100 enemy straight up real fast, because you put it more than 300 ability strength, but that's not the case. That's why I don't consider a fourth ability to be something that's good.
Destroyed. Proceed to the extraction point. The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
See, this is the second ability. It just goes in a straight line. It's not like you could move it and let it go where you want it to go. So in some ways, the second ability is even more useless than the fourth. That's why I said this Warframe is a mid to high level Warframe. Because at certain situations, she's very high level. At others, she's very mid level. So that's all I got to say about this frame. Build this frame for her first ability. Build this frame for her third ability. Never build this frame for her second, and never build this frame for her fourth. If you want to do some Goku stuff, I guess you can add more ability strength, which will be helpful. But remember, for some Goku stuff takes a lot of energy in order for you to consistently do it, and which you will need efficiency in order to do that. And you don't need efficiency on this Warframe, because her bread and butter is her first ability, which does not require high efficiency. See, it doesn't require high efficiency. It just requires her to use her first ability and drop it once, all three of them once, or twice, depending on the location that you're going to have them. Like I dropped one in three of these in one location, and then another three in another location. You could drop it twice. That will burn off a good 70 plus energy, which leaves you with enough energy to do your third ability. So the main thing that you're going to be casting more than anything is your third. So that's all I got to say with regards to the Wisp. What I have on this Warframe right now is good. I would try to up my duration period to much higher. All right, now it's at, I can't do that because of the damn umbras. So once you put an umbra former here, even just one umbra former, it should give you enough capacity space to throw on something like a augur message to increase either your range or your duration, depending on what you're going for. I would go with a little bit more duration. I mean, a little bit more range. Or, no, a little bit more duration. So that you could have more than 21. You could have that base 30. Because if you move fast enough, and most likely at 300 and something, you're going to move fast enough, you're going to have enough time to get to your enemy and sprint fast enough to get towards your enemy. That way you don't need to increase your range in order for it to shock them with range if you're able to get to them in time. But if you're even worried about that even more than duration, then all you got to throw in here is a little bit of range, just like I said before. If you don't put the duration in here, you put range in here. And then you put adaptation to resist whatever elemental damage. And my suggestion is most enemies are going to be hitting you with multiple different types of elemental damage. So you could go for a rolling guard instead of adaptation. Or adaptation if you don't like rolling guard. Either way, the only thing that should be in question is whether you want more range or whether you want more duration. Because you don't have to worry about efficiency, and as long as you have more than 320, actually no, if you have more than 330, you're good. If you have more than 330, you have more than 330, you have over 100 of health. Or about around 100 of health, and you have about 100 firing rate and 67% speed multiplier, which means you're moving 67% more than your average movement speed. So let's say your movement speed is 20%. That's 60 added on top of that 20. So she's going to be moving fast. Not like super fast like Volt, but she's going to be moving fast. I would say 100, like 90 to 100 is when someone's really moving like incredibly fast. So yeah, so at this 60, anywhere from 65% and up towards multiplier speed is good. So if you're slightly below the firing rate of 100, but your base multiplier speed is at 65, you're good. You don't want it to drop below 65. You want it to be 65 and above. Yes, that might drop your firing rate below the 100, and yes, it might drop your health below the 100. But as long as you have a base of 65%, you're still good. I would suggest not doing that though. I would suggest making sure you get at least a base of 100% firing rate and 100% of additional health, or at least 100 health added towards your standard health per the second. So make sure you have at least a minimum of 330 power strength. You don't have to worry too much about the duration as long as you put down enough of these flowers at certain specific locations so that you could run back to them. Put all three of them down at one location and then go to another location that's could be very further than the first one and put another three down, so that when you run from one location to the next location, you don't have to worry too much about your power running out before you get from one location to the next location. You can always be buffing yourself consistently. And yeah, that's all I got to say with regards to this Warframe. That's her kit. That's how she functions in combat. And that's everything you need to know about this. So now I'm moving on to Valkyr. What's this saying? Spend a low on prime ammo. Well, I guess that's what I got to do. Do more Zaws in order to get up there. So that's what I'm going to be doing one day. But for today, we're going to continue on. So it's now 12:30, and the giveaway is over. So now I could get rid of that and focus on Warframe. So for this giveaway, only like I guess 3 people decided to accept something because there wasn't that many people on. There were like 15 people most on today, so it's fine. So that's that. And let's see, who am I going to kick today? That's gone on beyond 300 days off, anywhere from 280 to 300. So the standard kick ratio for us is if you go beyond 300 days, that's like more than 10 months or around 10 months. So if you're gone for 10 months, it's most likely you damn sure are going to go away for like a full year. Like once you hit that 10-month marker, we know for a fact then that 100% that you're not going to come back. You can't really say someone's not going to come back into a client once they're off for like 6 months. Because I know some people are on military deployment. Um, they go away for a full 6 months away from their home and where they have their system and so on and so forth. And that 6 months could become an additional 4 more months, depending on how long it takes for them to get back home and additional other things, anywhere from 3 additional more months to 4 months. Um, but typically, it doesn't take an additional 6 more months added on top of the original 6 months. They just added an additional 3 or 4 more months on top of that. So that's why I always ended at 10 months because no, it's impossible for a deployment, just a regular yearly deployment, to go beyond 6 or 7 months anyway, unless there's something that's gone wrong. And no one, not even from a doctor to a lawyer to a judge to a military person, has a deployment that's 10 or more than 10 months at one specific location. Not unless they're living there, are they staying there for more than a year or about a year, unless they're actually staying there and living there. Standard military deployments is base of 6 months, and I guess you could say other type of military they have it a little bit more than that for about 3 months, 3 or 4 months more, but it never goes beyond 10 months. That's why I have my max 300, anywhere from 280 to 300 days before I kick people, because I base things on I like to pretend like everyone is in the military so that they don't have any excuse to say, well, I'm away because of family and friends and school and all this. Like, unless you've been in the military, that's being away from family for a long time, because you're forced to do so. You don't voluntarily do so. It's part of your contract. And no job has you in contract to be away from your family. No job, unless it's actually requires for you to do so. So, so I'm about to kick this person, but I'm thinking maybe I should just wait for the 300 days to fully kick them. So that's why I say anywhere from 280 to 300 days is where we kick people. Like this douchebag here, yeah, he's expelled. Goodbye. Actually, what I should do is, sometimes I forget because I just want to kick them because they're so lazy and boring and stupid random people who claim they want to join clans, but they don't do jack shit. Um, what I do sometimes, I block them as well, both on PlayStation and in the game. But if I try to do that now, it'll just kick me out of my live stream. So I'll just try to block them while I'm in the game itself after I kick them. So these people are lucking out in some ways. Let me try do something. Well, I can't chat with them because they're not on CS, so I don't have no choice but to kick them because it doesn't allow me. The moment I go to check profile for the person or show profile, um, it'll show the profile in the game, but and then you press like it says L3 to invite and stuff. It will pop it up here, and then I could block here. See, that's the only way to do that. So if you ever run a clan, that's the only way to do it. So let's say, for instance, they're completely 100% offline. That's a nice way to do it. Like if you're confused on how you're going to do that, don't go to show profile. Just go to regular profile in game, and then go to the bottom section right here. Press L3. It will show their name will pop up, even though they're not online, and then you could do the whole ignore thing. And then no matter what, even if they jump back on Warframe, they won't be able to contact you or talk to you. But if you press the whole invite thing, it'll take you outside of the game and then cut your stream, I believe. So now I'm going to kick him. And there are a lot of people like this. There are a lot of people that join games like Warframe. They want to be part of a kind and all this nonsense, but like, look, man, I know you people are casuals and that you want to be part of a clan because it's much easier for you to get certain things and do what you have to do done. So it's obviously going to join a clan. That's a no-brainer. But you're not loyal to anyone when you join a clan because that's your mentality. You were never loyal to begin with or interested to begin with. You just wanted to do things to make yourself faster. So that's why when I block them and I kick them, I make sure I block them and I kick them. So that if they even contemplate of trying to call back, I'll be like, nah, get out of here. You're the average gamer. There's nothing special about you to begin with. You just play games for fun as a pastime. You're not like a gamer. It's like that dude in that movie called I forgot the name of that gaming movie. Maybe because it wasn't that great of a movie to begin with. I don't know. It's some movie about a guy who plays games and stuff. But it wasn't that good to begin with. But it did have some true elements in it with regards to people who aren't gamers but would like to make money off games. But and like to talk like they're gamers because they make money off games and it's part of their career and everything. But they really aren't in love with it. It's something that they just use as either a pastime or for other means. Like these people really are clownies, man. Like you see them, and if you have to kick them, like, and they've gone for more than a year and stuff, those are the people that they made, like Spielberg and stuff made. I think there's what was the name of that Spielberg gaming movie? Or like, I don't remember. Oh, something reality or something. It wasn't that good of a movie. Because if it was, I would remember it. Which means they only did half of the good stuff that gamers do, and the other half, it was cringy stuff that gamers don't do. But it's something about virtual reality gaming or something. But I don't remember the name because wasn't that important to begin with. What I'm trying to say is, in that story, there was this corporate douche guy who claimed to be a gamer and loved games. And eventually they called him out for what he was. Like, he's just this corporate stooge who just used this platform in order to do stuff and says he loves games, have all the stuff around him, but his means to his end is always something else. And that's the beauty part about gaming and people who play games on Twitch and stuff. More than half of those bastards, especially a lot of those famous ones, they don't give a damn about gamings. Don't be fooled by these clowns. You will know it because they will always say they love gamings and stuff. and it's part of their life and it's who they are. They will always say garbage like that. But you will know a person who's a gamer from the jump, because from the jump, when they first started about playing games, it didn't feel like it was a chore to them because they love to do it from the beginning with, especially when they show their face from the jump. Watch their very first early videos that they used to make, and if they looked like they were depressed doing it during their first early videos and they weren't having fun, it's because they weren't doing it because they love it from the jump. They were more concerned about getting numbers and all this bullshit. All right, so kick these fools. I'll say out loud, kick these fools. Please remember. See, I would love to make these videos where I could just focus on doing the showcase and not worried about other stuff. But when you're a clan warlord, you have to do more than just, the thing itself. You have to do other things as well. Please remember to never go. You know what? I'll just put I'm not a babysitter. Actually, leave it. Please remember to never go above. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think they get the point. So this is Valkyr now. I don't want to waste any time on anything else. Okay, so the base Valkyr kit, same as other Warframe, going over Valkyr. Let's see what time is this now. It is now 12:30 where I am. At least I think it is. Yeah, 12:30 where I am. Okay, so it's 12:30. So this Warframe is an Armor Warframe. 700 armor, energy 225, which is not good. Health standard, shields not good. So energy and shields is not what's good for this Warframe. This Warframe speed is about the standard, um, and everything else is the same. So the main focus is making sure that she has enough shields and making sure she has enough energy. Everything else is pretty much normal. So this is a Warframe that definitely you need to give her more shields. There's no question about it. You either, if you're not going to give this Warframe more shields, you have to give this Warframe more armor. It's one or the other. More shields or more armor. And definitely more power. Because no matter how, to be honest with you, no matter how much shields you give to this Warframe, it's not going to make a difference. Her shield ratio is so small that even if you gave her a lot of shields, it still won't be enough. It's like if I give her this, and throw this on. If I give her three different shields, just three, it still will only take her to like 570. That's 3 slots of just shields for just shields itself. And you don't need all this. So you know what? Let me just try something. I'll keep her at a base of 500 shields, and then everything after is going to go into armor and health. Nope, but I put all this right here because I knew it was pointless. So I'm going to still put this on anyway. And with health mods on. Nope, but I can't do that because I knew that giving her more energy, giving her more shields would be pointless. So let's say, for instance, that I did put that bond on for that shields. She would be with 3 different type of shields on at 500, and then her health would be at 9 something, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots would have been taken over, which would leave me with just 3. Which would leave me with just 3 empty slots left. So in order for me to get more slots, I would, since this is a Warframe that does melee damage, and now give myself more capacity to have more slot capacity. So now I could try something. Let's see now. Since I have to give her more ability strength, this is just a test. And the stronger her strength is, the more she could withstand damage. But unlike Wisp, she doesn't have to have 300 strength. She just have to have enough strength in order to resist all types of damage. Yeah, I don't need blind ranging. Let's check it again. See, the only time you'll need blind rage is if you're planning to use lots of damage real quick and kill your enemies real quick. But if you're not concerned with killing your enemies real quick, you're more concerned with keeping your 4th ability on, you don't need blind rage on. But if you want to kill your enemies real quick and keep it on at the longest time you possibly can, that's where it becomes a little bit tricky. That's why I said you don't need that many shield slots. Because you're going to need all those slots for having both efficiency and for strength in order to kill. Because her bread and butter is her 4th ability. Nothing more. She is mid-level, just like Wisp, to high-level Warframe, if you know how to use her. She's more mid-level than high-level than Wisp is. So, but her 4th makes her even more important than Wisp once it's on. because it doesn't even matter those Exumus guys that have status draining effect or all this other stuff. As long as her fourth is on, she could kill them. It's not like they could turn off her power. Nullifier enemies that has bubbles around her can turn off her fourth ability. If they don't have a null around them, they're dead. It doesn't matter how strong they are. So the great part about her, once her fourth ability is on, she's kind of like invincible. So you don't have to worry about power strength to keep her invincible. You only have to worry about power strength to make her attacks kill them fast enough. Because why waste energy on her fourth per the second just to make her be invincible if you can't kill enemies fast enough? So I'm going to try to make her have enough power strength, but not enough to drain her. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give her efficiency of 175. It's 170, 75. Okay, so based on that, NG per second was before at a base of 2.5 to 15. It's now 2.7. Still high, and that's because duration is very low. It's 23%. So now, oh yeah, I almost forgot regards to this Warframe. Duration and efficiency work in synergy towards each other. I don't know what that's about. Okay, so let me continue. Okay, so it now went to 0.81 to 4.84. Still not that good, but at least you're below 1% drain per second. So we now have to increase our duration even further. That's why I said the shields are kind of pointless. Armor is the essential part. Armor, energy. I mean, it's important to get her shields up. That's why I threw the shields on. But since our main kit is her fourth, and what other? Her main one is her fourth and her war cry, which is based on duration. That's the main focus. Duration, efficiency, power strength. Well, not really power strength, but duration and efficiency and armor. So not so much shields. Shields will take up way too much slots. If you have shields in 1 or 2 slots, you're good. You don't need more than 2 slots of shields. In fact, you only need 1 slot for shields. And that should be Prime Vigor to give yourself shields. Because Prime Vigor allows you to have additional 220 health. So, not so much about shields, more about armor, duration, and efficiency. And I need more duration. I was thinking maybe if I throw on natural talent. No, that would just increase my speed. Or maybe narrow-minded. Replace this with narrow-minded. That's good. I'm not so concerned about range because she is close quarters combat Warframe anyway. But I do need to increase her range slightly, I guess. because that means the enemy will have to be directly in front of her, and I don't want to do that. If I could keep my enemy a little bit away from me, but it really doesn't matter. It's mostly duration I need. I want to get this percentage by 0.63. I wonder if it'll fall way below. Okay, let me try something. Would it fall way below 0.63 if I add this in? No. So there it is. That's all I needed to know. It doesn't even matter if you add more. The duration cutoff point for which she can use anyway is always going to be 0.63 to 3.75. So adding more duration on top of, like if you're at 120 to 122 in duration, you're good. You are good. You do not need more duration beyond that point. You do not need more duration if you go beyond 120. Like if you're at 130 duration with her, then you're messing up. You need to be like 120 to 122. I mean, anything above 120 is fine. But if you're like 130, 140, 150, no. If you're at 120 with duration, 122, 123, you're good because it will not go beyond this point if you add more duration. So 122, look at that duration. If it says 120 to 122, you're solid. Now, only thing left now is for you to decide, do you want more shields or do you want more energy? You want more energy. You only have 225. So you want prime flow. And you'll put prime flow here. And whatever you have remaining, you'll put here. So the only reason I'm thinking why this isn't high up here is because I probably did this. I probably got in a mission and I did 740 at one something, and then I guess I used. No, there's no guessing about it. I did do this because I could get energy in the process. Energy here. Energy here. Okay, so I get energy here, and energy here, and enough efficiency so I could have this fourth ability on all day. But that's not needed. I need to have more health and more shields. So I kind of screwed up in this situation because I think I know what I was doing when I did this. 100%. Obviously, you always want adaptation on, but she has a fourth ability. Adaptation doesn't mean anything. So this is one of those Warframes that you don't have to worry about adaptation once our fourth ability is on. So it doesn't matter cast status effect or not. They won't be able to kill her once the fourth ability is on. So these extra 2 slots will be for health and oh yeah, this is what I was doing here and here. That's what I was doing to increase armor as well as health. Now health went to 850 by 150. I want more health and I want a little bit more shields. That's what I want. And that's why I say I screwed up anyway, because I still will need, let's say I don't want to use it and I want to put adaptation in this slot anyway. No matter what I do, I will need this extra slot open anyway. really thinking about it though. I'll try something. Okay, and then you have something like a prime sure-footed here. But if her fourth ability's on, she won't get knocked down. But I'm not 100% sure about that. Either way, I still don't have enough to put something in the slot here. And I'm guessing, I assume because of her fourth was on, this is what I did when I did this, why I have this here. I had the fourth on, and I just wanted to get more energy back in return. And I know once the fourth is on, I didn't have to worry about being affected by status. That's why I had these on. Yeah, that's why I had these on, but I didn't have the Umbro versions on. So I have enough slot for, so that I had enough slot to put the Umbra, the Prime Sure-Footed here. But it's still off by 1. Prime Sure-Footed is 16. So now I remember what I did. But this is a gamble, though. This is a gamble because you're assuming, like, you're going to have the fourth ability on all the time, which you're not. That's why I wanted to at least put the Prime Vigor on. I mean, this is great because you're always going to be getting energy back. Let me just decrease this to 8, I guess. No, 7. So we'll drop to 170. Not too bad. Would it still stay at... Yep, it still stays there. Okay, so I'm good. And I'm still good. Even at 170 and 22 duration, I'm still good. And now I'm going to put Prime Sure-Footed here. Wait, it didn't go to 16? Really? I dropped it down percentage and it still didn't go to 16? Oh, geez. All right. Let me put it by 6 then. Would it... Okay, now it's at 16, but hopefully... No, now it goes to 0.72. So that's not good. It's not bad, but it's not good. That's not the purpose. Man. Actually, I know what I'll do. I'll drop the duration to like 120. Hopefully it doesn't drop below 120. Remove not reminded, but put it by 1 point less. By 1 less. Should get us to... Nope, still not at 16. Let's see what will happen. Nope. Like duration and efficiency work together, so it's not gonna work. So I have to decrease rage then. The only thing that makes sense. Alright, so rage will have to be decreased in order for me to get that 16. Alright. It's not that great, but at least it's something in return. So now I could do the prime sure-footed. Okay, so now I have it. Typically, you will want, since I'm doing most of this is all-rounder, and if you're doing all-rounder, you don't need prime sure-footed, because prime sure-footed is mostly for when you're doing heavy big boy stuff, level 100s or high, level 80s, level 100s. This is just a tanky one I'm going for. This is just a tanky that I'm showing right now. The standard is, if you're going for an all-rounder, just like every Warframe, you don't even need this on. You could just throw on this to add even more strength to this. Like if you're fighting level 1 to level 100, you can still have this on. But once you start fighting level 100 enemies and up, that's when you should be concerned. So this is fine. And then, like if you're not concerned about this because you have this, and this on, then you can work with putting Prime Vigor in. Still don't have enough capacity space. So that's why I'm saying I kind of screwed up regards to this. But here's the thing: is it really screwing up? I mean, like I said, if you want to do enough damage to an enemy as well as staying vulnerable for a long time, you can't do a lot of damage to an enemy if you only do 387 damage. That's not enough damage to do quickly. So that's why it's very iffy in anything with Warframe. That's why I added Collection Drift to this to do more damage. But still, 155 is not enough damage. So it really depends on what you're trying to go for. So that's why I was hesitant in putting this in. And I prefer to have prefer to have the vitality in. Because I don't want to be there all day swinging at an enemy and I can't kill him. I need to have enough strength. But I need to have enough efficiency and duration in order to stay invincible. And don't waste time. It has to be balanced between both strength and duration and efficiency. This Warframe is complicated if you don't know how to balance strength, duration, and efficiency. So I'm going to give this Warframe more strength. Yeah, no matter how I look at it, I still kind of screwed up because if I had on two of these, it would boost up my ability strength along with transient fortitude. So like this, I put this here, and I put this here. She will automatically go to 200, which is where you want to be with regards to damage anyway, with regards to her fourth. Because that will keep you at a standard of 500, which means you won't be have to stay and keep hitting an enemy for too long. You should be able to hit an enemy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're dead. Because it's damage per hit. So first hit will be 500 damage, second hit will be 1,000 damage, third hit will be 1,500, fourth hit will be more than 2,000 damage. So she's doing a lot of damage per swing. That's why I say the standard should always be like 500 anyway. So this is good. But what's not good is the duration period. And there's not enough to duration. And I don't want to put this on anywhere. I want narrow mind to be on. So yeah, might have to format this Warframe again. This Warframe is very iffy. Sometimes you think you got the perfect build, and sometimes you don't have it at all. Because let's say she runs out of energy and it comes off. The only thing that will save you between life and death is a little bit more shields or adaptation and stuff. So you will need that little extra defense slot anyway. For this case, I would go. Put that there. So now, actually no, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. Just now reminded. Okay, that's that. And yeah, that's what I was saying. I wasn't going to use Prime Vigor. That. So this is the tanky one. This is the one you want anyway. So why would you want to have? Well, you could have the Allrounder, which is the one I'm going to show right over here. But this is the tanky one. And now I simply have to do is look up the kit one more time. Because she's on rank, it fell by, it's at 200 to 420, but the efficiency is good. Okay, so this is good. All I have to do now is level up this Warframe to its max, and this Warframe is solid. What in the world is going on here? See, I've been seeing this for quite some time now. I'm wondering what the hell is going on. Alright, I don't know what the hell that is. But this little slot right here represents when you're in a party or you're in discussions with someone else. Apparently, I'm in a party with someone. I don't see no one in any type of group here. And this, it doesn't represent clan. This represents squad. This is your clan right here, the shield. And this is your alliance right here. And this is your region chat right here. It says region. And this is Q&A questions if you're curious about anything. This person pissed me off and all kind of stuff. And then this is your recruitment chat, where you recruit and do recruiting for anything, where you do recruiting for runs. And this is for trading. And this is basically for squads. But I'm not in a squad. And squads are typically only a max of 4 people. And this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whatever is going on here, this is a damn glitch. That's what that is. Alright, so I'll level this Warframe up, and I'll call it a day in like 10 minutes. That should give me enough time. Well, since I'm going to be calling a day in 10 minutes, I'm going to show all of the abilities. I'm going to show this first ability, which is probably her most useless ability, the first one. And second ability, which is her second most useful ability. And the third ability, which is her third, I believe, Valkyr unleash her shields, stunning and damaging enemies around her. Knockback, damage multiplier. Multiplier 7. Knockback is 1000 strength. Knockback, no, 2000 knockback strength. Range is not that much. It's bad actually. So you never want to use this when you have a not reminded on. Nor this when you have a not reminded on. So this build I have has a not reminded on it. So this build is not for using the other abilities. This is not an all-rounder. This is a tank build. This is more of an all-rounder ability, where the range is at standard 100. I'm now going to put additional distance as well. And I'm going to increase adaptation, I guess. Vigor. I mean, not vigor, vitality. It's 105. It's not good. That's good. And prime flow is on. Full efficiency 130. And one other thing. And this should be fine. Yeah, so still not good. No. No good. Okay. That's that. Because this is on rank, I can't put more stuff in there. And adaptation. But you want more armor. No matter how you look at it, you always want more armor. Do you want your health to be above that? So adaptation go out the window. But remember, this is an all-rounder, so you don't really need adaptation. But if your concern is you really do need adaptation for an all-rounder build, the thing is you'll have to decide based on range or efficiency what you're going to do with regards to ability. Me, I believe yeah, no. Yeah, I'll probably have to keep it this way. there and there, and you need duration on this, more duration. Do I have more? Yes, I do. And was it? Okay, so the effect has to be applied to other Warframes, so. And efficiency, you want to cast it multiple times. Okay, so this is it. And do I have enough capacity? Okay. So in the slot up here, you always have like more melee damage, or at least because this is an all-rounder. You have coaction drift here to give you more melee damage here. Now, if you look at this, this is not about the fourth. This is not about the fourth ability. If you're talking about just keeping the fourth on all the time, it has to be below 0, not 1 and above. It has to be below. This is okay, but this is not about using the fourth multiple times. This is about using other abilities as well. It's about having a duration of 23 seconds for your second ability, and having a duration, at least a knockback, because the third ability doesn't do a duration, but have enough knockback in order to cause damage against the enemy. So 1,000 knockback, which will drain 3.5 of your energy for a range of 14. So this is a range damage effect of 360 all the way around. And the second is, like I said, is her second ability is her bread and butter. Her second and her fourth. So a fourth is a bread and butter, and second is also a bread and butter. And third is also good. That's why I say this is a mid to high level Warframe, because Wisp has 2 abilities that are kind of shitty, but she has 3 abilities that are good and are effective. So if I could increase her duration at the same time and make it a little bit higher than this, it will work out for me. But that's gambling with adaptation, assuming I don't need to have one adaptation. So I won't put on adaptation. I mean, I really don't need more than 23 seconds, but if it becomes sticky, you can always use your operator to get out of your Warframe. But the standards is always to have one adaptation. So more duration. Let's see if I can get that up more. Let's see how much that would be. It would still be in 27. Okay, so it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. It'll still be in the 20s. I thought I would go up to like 30s. See, if I try to add more duration and put it here, it will completely destroy everything that I'm trying to do over here, which is bad. Let's say I don't even need this, which I do, but let's say I don't need it. I would have to put another duration slot here. That gets me to 200, which gets me to 30, which is good. So operating from where it is, 200 duration, 130 efficiency, 145 range, you're good. This effect will be on your teammates for about 30 seconds. The second ability will be on your teammates for about 30 seconds. Additional speed, armor, as well as decrease in speed for the enemy. And that's where you will want to remove this, is because you need strength as well. So many things to factor in. So many things. That's why I wanted both. So I was saying I wanted both. I want both the Umbras to be here so that I could get this up to 155 at least. And then put the efficiency in there. And then give myself more duration over here. But if it becomes a sticky situation, I would need that adaptation. So 23 is kind of good. Not great, and not by the standard amounts of combat, I guess. So I am going to do something a little edgy, but it might actually work out best for me. Let's see if it'll work, or if it'll fall below. It'll probably fall below, but who knows? Maybe it'll work. Yeah, it'll fall below. Not good. Um, hmm. This here. If I put this here, and then I put health here. That looks good. Better than it was before. Time duration hasn't increased, but there's nothing I could really do about that without decreasing something else. Like if I'm going to have a standard range of 100, that means a person will really need to be next to me in order to get that benefits. So they can't go beyond a certain range. But which I guess is okay. So let me, because even if I, okay, let me see. Even if I do this, and I do this, it will get it up to 30, but how much energy would it cost? It costs 75 energy just to do it once. That's a lot of energy just to do it once. That is no good whatsoever at all. That is no good juju. You need efficiency. Even a small amount is better than that. Now 50 is okay. Means you're able to do both this and this one perfectly fine. You could do this twice, and that will take up 100 out of the maximum energy amount right here. And then you leave the remainder for your fourth ability. So this is okay. This is the all-rounder right here. This one, this is the tank. Put the prime sure-footed here. But this one, this is the all-rounder. I'll show it in combat. I'll show both of them in combat. Since I only have like 10 minutes, or by now 5 minutes, I'm only going to do one mission for 5 minutes. For less than, probably, actually I'll do one mission that's less than 5 minutes. A capture mission. Or a rescue mission. There's no capture, no rescue, there's only SAB. Alright, so I have no choice. So this build I'm doing right now is the Allrounder Valkyr. And the next one, which is the decrease in range to a range of 34, that's the tank one. The tank one is what you want to use against level 100 enemies and above. The one I'm using right here is just basically for any enemies that's level 1 to like level 80. Once you get past level 80, that's when you want to start using the tank. Because then you'll be able to fight enemies that are within the 80 to 100 and above range much easier.
Target destroyed. Proceed to the extraction point.
Alright. Alright, so that was 5 seconds. So the stun radius is 5 seconds. One, two, three, four, five, and then they move again. Now the third ability, stun time, it doesn't have a timer. There's no duration time or how long it lasts. It just stuns them for about 5 seconds. So it doesn't state how long it's going to last. So you have to do the same thing that you did with Wisp. Calculate how long the stun of them being locked in the stun will take. And the base is 5 seconds before they get out of it and start attacking again. So that's why I don't use the third ability as much as I use the second. The third is just something to you use when you're in a sticky situation. As you can see, there's no description of how long it takes for them to be stunned or how long the knockback takes. It just says 1,500 knockback. If the enemy is extremely strong, if they're very strong, the knockback won't do that much damage to them. And if they're like level 100 and higher, the knockback will probably don't even affect them whatsoever at all. So for an all-rounder specifically are made for level 1 to level 80 enemies, and after that, your knockback won't do much of anything to them. So I never worry about the third ability. My concern is always with the second and the fourth when using this Warframe. The third is just something you use when you have to. That's why I would say she's falls in the same line that Wisp does. She's a mid Warframe to a high level Warframe. So that's it. That's all I can say with regards to that. I use both disabilities. I haven't used her fourth ability though. I'm going to use her fourth. And I'll show you why. It doesn't really matter when you turn on the fourth how strong the enemy is, because I'm not going to hit an enemy. I'm going to turn it on and I'll let them keep hitting me. But it'll only depend on strength when you start attacking the enemy. So here I'll do a Requiem Exterminate. As long as you have 175% efficiency and decent duration, you'll have enough in order to stay on your fourth ability for a long period of time. However, since this is an all-arounder, you have to be cautious of how long you want to keep it on. This is not a tank, so you don't have to, keep it on all the time. So now, oh yeah, one of the great part about her fourth ability, I'm not sure if this works for every Warframe, but for this Warframe, once you turn on her fourth, she could go into her whole hack and slash thing. But if you decide to aim with a weapon, the fourth ability will still be on. So if you start capping with a weapon and the fourth is on, the enemy is shooting you and trying to kill you while the fourth ability is on. So you don't generally have to be meleeing using the Valkyr Warframe. You could be capping up at all the enemies or using your secondary weapons. See, and they won't be able to kill you. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, now I'll put it on. Okay.
The enemy is broken.
Ah,
Now get to
I see
extraction.
what's happening. I see what's happening. That's very weird. And here it is, I'm thinking like I'm playing the game and they're actually using it effectively. Apparently, once you switch to if you're not on full melee, the moment you switch to your guns, it takes off the fourth ability power. So they did nerf it.
Been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's
So if I turn on the fourth and she's in the stance, the moment she does this, even though I haven't taken off the fourth, it basically is stating the moment I switch to a gun weapon that I'm not in melee, that I don't have the fourth ability on anymore. It's not on anymore. Even though it is on, see? It's still glowing on her body. It's on. But you could take physical damage from physical hits and damage towards your health. Simply because you're using the weapon now and you're not melee. So now I just took it off, the fourth ability. Now I'm going to put it on again. And this time I'm going to keep it on melee. And when you keep it on melee, look what happens. All I have to do that mission one more time.
Plays in my playground, one way or the other.
I didn't realize that they fixed that. I thought the glitch was still in, or maybe it wasn't a glitch to begin with. It was just a bad coding. But apparently they removed the capabilities for the fourth to be on. If you're not meleeing, it automatically takes it off, even though it's technically still on. Alright, so I'll do it one more time. And if you notice when I did it in the mission, turn on the fourth in the mission to do pure melee, it shuts off upper bar where it shows her health and her shields, they both turn completely gray because it's telling you that now you truly are invincible. Once that bar up there is not grayed out, and you can still see the color of the shields and the color of the health, indicating shields are blue and health is red. If you see that, that means your character is probably going to take damage and probably going to die. So if you turn on your fourth and that is not in the gray, it means that you are messing up or you did something wrong. Which basically means you aren't meleeing. You're doing something else beside meleeing.
This is your chance. Hack into that disabled ambulance.
My ambulance! What have they done to her? Fix this!
The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
So, just to remember, up in the upper section, it's grayed out now for invincibility.
Well done. Now
But the
get to
moment you switch
extraction.
to a weapon, it turns blue and red, which means you can now get shot and die, even though your fourth is on. And even though your fourth is on, which means it's still draining energy to use the fourth ability, it will be pointless and stupid to have it on when you're shooting, because you're draining energy per the second, but you're not using the melee, which means the game automatically assumes that you're using your fourth for melee, even when you really aren't. So always remember, turn it off once you start shooting. And when you turn it back on, make sure you stay in melee mode, so that upper area can be grayed out and stay in gray. Because the moment it's not in gray and red, I mean, the moment it's not in gray anymore and it goes back to blue and red, it means that you're now can be killed. So always remember that. You must be in relay mode in order for that effect to be in place. So that's all I gotta say with regards to this Warframe and how to use this Warframe in mission. I'm not gonna show the tank and how this Warframe operates as a tank. I think it's kind of self-explanatory based on my performance in the mission. That, well, maybe I should just show it once. But it'll you know what? It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how you do it. It really doesn't matter. Because if I switch to the tank, and I go in mission, I will still be invincible, but I'll be able to kill faster. So the only thing that's different from this one that I'm using, I won't be solely depending on the second. I'll be depending mostly on the fourth. I'll only use the second every now and again, but it's mostly about fourth. So I'll do a quick mission as before. But this time, it's mostly about using the fourth, which means count the time from which I enter the mission to which I leave the mission, how long the fourth is going to be on. And that's how long you keep it on in mission. Kill as many enemies as you possibly can and get towards extraction before the mission is over. Before your energy is drained. So it could be anywhere from 2-minute mission to about 5-minute mission. But the longer the mission is and the longer it takes for you to fully drain out your fourth ability, it's the best setup that you possibly could want to have for your Valkyr. If it takes an incredibly long time for that fourth to drain out so you can't use it anymore, plus you have a significant amount of damage to keep killing as many enemies as you possibly can. So I'm going to do that right now and see how long I could stay in mission based on this. So this is not an all-rounder, this is the tank one now.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno. The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
So that's pretty long. That's very long. So from the time I entered the mission, I guess I ran a couple of feet in front of me, and then directly after running a couple of feet in front of me, then I turned on the ability. So for the majority of the mission, the fourth ability was on, and I still have enough efficiency to last for even more areas. That's why the 175 efficiency with a prime flow on and an arcane energize installed is the best you could go. It's the best setup that you want anyway, as far as tanks go. So once again, before I log off, this is the tank. The tank is 200 strength. Range doesn't matter. Efficiency is 175. Duration has to be anywhere from 120 to 122. And then your prime sure-footed will go over here. This is if you're fighting high-level enemies. But if you have the fourth on and you don't get knocked down, you put in, obviously, you put in coaction drift here to increase your physical melee strength. That's assuming that you'll never get knocked down. If you do believe that you are going to get knocked down, or if you test this in the mission, and while your fourth is on, you still get knocked down, you'll then have to put your prime sure-footed here. But as the standard, if you're going to have 200 ability strength, it has to be with Umbras. Because you don't want to put on something to decrease your duration even further. And there are no mods that you have on to increase your ability strength unless you put on Blind Rage, which will reduce your efficiency, and you don't want to do that. So, best solution, put an Umbra Forma on, at least one Umbra Forma on. Or if you can't have one Umbra Forma on, then you will definitely have to have two on in order to get that prime sure-footed capacity increased. But this is the base setup. All this, and then prime sure-footed go here. 200 strength, 175 efficiency, 120 to 122 percent towards duration, more than 1,400 in armor, more than 500 in energy. Shields don't matter, and health doesn't matter as much because you're invincible in the fourth ability, and you can run through the fourth in the mission from beginning all the way to end without using any other abilities other than your fourth. Now you will only use your second when you need to use your second if you're going with a tank. And that's if you have to use your second and your third, is to give yourself a good 5 seconds to do something. Like to throw down an energy pad or to revive a character. That will give you enough time. You'll still take damage and then revive someone. But typically when you revive, you don't even use your Warframe anyway. You go into operator, stay invisible, and you revive them. So this is the setup for a tank, Valkyr. And this is the setup for Valkyr, for an all-rounder Valkyr. Now I spoke about all-rounders before. This is what you'll use for your all-rounders. And this is the general setup for all-rounders. Here, increase here, and increase here. So it's at 0.96, which is not too bad. So this all-rounder is pretty good. It's actually very good. But if you want some more power and you want to just use your fourth, this is the tank that you will use. More than 100% of armor, more than 100% of speed, and more than 60% of enemy decrease in speed. So they're slowed down the moment you start hitting them. And of course, you don't use your third, unless you have to use your third. So that's the kit for Wisp and the kit for Valkyr. And tomorrow I'll do the next Warframe in this list, and that should be, I think I'm leaving Trinity for last. It'll be the next Warframe after that. And that will be also a mid-tier to a high-tier Warframe, and that will be Titania. Yeah, she's very good. And then after that, I'll skip Sevagoth, and I'll go straight into Rhino. Because Rhino might seem like he's a high-tier Warframe, but he really isn't. But he's high-tier when you need him to be. But against extremely high-level enemies, he won't last that long. So I believe Rhino is a mid Warframe to high-level Warframe. So it's going to be Titania and Rhino tomorrow. And then I guess by the time I get to Octavia and Nidus, that should be it. Unless I missed, I would have to go over my videos because there's a lot of Warframes. There's 50 Warframes, and I believe I covered probably like 8 of them so far, or maybe a little bit above 8 or 9 of them, or let's say round it up to about 10. I've covered 10 so far, so I still got a while to go. So I have to go over all those videos. So today it was mainly Wisp and Valkyr, and tomorrow it's going to be Titania and Rhino, because they're both mid to high tier Warframes. I really believe Rhino is a high tier Warframe with regards to all he could do, but I do know for a fact that once he starts fighting enemies that are above level 100, they could knock off his shield second ability within like a couple of seconds, which makes him kind of pointless fighting extremely hard level enemies if he could get his shields knocked off within like 10 to 20 seconds. So I still consider him mid to high tier Warframe. But fighting enemies from 0 to 100, he's good. But fighting enemies above 100, he's going to have issues. That's why he's mid to high tier Warframe. He's just the highest of the mid to high tier, I believe. So tomorrow, Titania and Rhino. Okay, that's it for this video. I'm signing off.